Welcome everybody to my channel, Stones and Tones. Stones coming from my hobby of the past 10 years, the sport of strongman, where we pick up a lot of stones. And the tones from playing guitar for the past 28 years or so. Now in that 28 years of time, there have been some periods where I didn't play very much. For the past couple of years, I've really been focused on picking that back up because I really do love music and it's a huge part of my life. Most of the videos here are related to that. There will be some strongman and possibly powerlifting content as well. But I thought I would do just a short little video here. I guess kind of a podcast style, but not really an official podcast or anything. Just to talk about like guitar gear for a minute. So this first one is just some things that have been released recently that have kind of caught my eye, found interesting. The first thing being the Marshall JTM ST20 amp. The first amp from Marshall since being bought out, or at least the majority share bought by the Swedish company Zounds. Now, a lot of people, understandably, were a little bit concerned when Marshall sold their majority share. Zounds is not known as a guitar amplifier company, but their first release is the JTM20. So going back to the very origins of Marshall amps. And I'll have to say they nailed the look at least. Whether the amp sounds like an old JTM or not, is to be determined. I have watched some demo videos and they seem to be pretty good sounding amps. They definitely nailed the aesthetic though. I mean, they look absolutely beautiful. They've got the old Marshall name badge plate on it, that kind of fawn toe grill cloth with the black Tolex. Really nice looking amp. Now, it's hard to say whether this is telling us anything about the future of Marshall, because the speculation would be, hey, they've brought out a tube amp, gone back to the beginnings of Marshall. This is an old school throwback. You know, Marshall though has been doing these 20-watt amps for a while. They have the JCM 800, the Silver Jubilee, the SV20, which is the super lead style 20-watt version. So given the amount of time that's passed, I would speculate that this amp had been in development already. So this is not something that they could have developed, manufactured, put out in the amount of time that they had since Zounds has purchased Marshall. But it's very cool. Definitely makes you want another amp, even though I don't need another amp. I don't even really use the one that I have. Kind of gone to modeling because it's super easy to do recording and get good tones at lower volume. I have a dog over there that's sleeping in the corner that does not like loud guitar amplifiers. So being able to get a good tone at a low volume is definitely a thing. Now, this amp does have a 5-watt mode. I have owned a 5-watt Marshall before in the Class 5. 5 watts of Marshall is really loud still, if you want to get it into an overdriven state. A lot of people obviously are going to use load boxes, 2 notes, the aux box, etc. So it's an option. To keep that volume down even more or not at all. You can run straight into headphones with IRs. It does have an effects loop, which, the other studio models have. And this is a really big deal to me. And whether you're looking at it or one of the other studio lines, people for years have tried to copy those vintage Marshall tones, from Van Halen to the Beano, Clapton tone. And the one thing that you that is the hardest to get is, those amps did not have reverb, did not have delay, anything like that. And they didn't have an effects loop. All that stuff was added in post. And a consistent thing with both like the EVH sound and the Clapton Beano sound is those studios had chamber reverb. And that was added again post-production. With trying to get that kind of reverb sound into a Marshall through the front end, not an effects loop, is extremely difficult. If you go back and listen to either Van Halen 1 or 2 and the Beano album, there is a lot of reverb on there, especially on the Beano album. And so previous reissues of these amps that were truer to the original spec that did not have an effects loop, trying to run a reverb in front of it, it just kind of got washed out when you cranked it up. So you could never quite get that sound. If you were recording, of course, you could do your own post effects, but not a lot of people at home are doing that. They just want to sit down and jam and get those tones. So having the effects loop, you can definitely help a lot with that. So I think it's a great move on Marshall's behalf here to give another Studio 20. It's another retro amp, and again, people are going to buy them just for the looks. I want one, and just for the looks. So that's pretty awesome. If you've stuck with me so far, I do appreciate it. I'm going to keep this video kind of short. Thank you guys for watching the channel. Check out my videos. There's going to be more to come. I just now got the microphone. Still need to get a little desk area set up here and get something on the wall. So you're not just looking at a white wall and a skull above my head. But I do appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to the video. There are going to be more videos coming. May try and do some sort of a longer form gear talk, Strawman talk, little podcasts like this for everybody. But thank you so much for sticking with it, and there's definitely more to come.